When people meet an INFJ for the first time, there is usually a subtle yet magnetic energy that surrounds them. It's not loud or attention-seeking. In fact, it's often the opposite: quiet, calm, and deeply intriguing. But that calm presence carries a depth that pulls people in before they even realize why. Something about the INFJ seems familiar yet mysterious, warm yet distant. It's this paradox that makes the first encounter with an INFJ very memorable. The first thing people often notice is their eyes. There's an unmistakable intensity in the INFJ gaze, a kind of quiet observation that feels like it can see straight through pretenses. It's not an invasive stare, but one that communicates, "I see you." In that moment, many feel both comforted and slightly exposed, as though the INFJ can sense emotions and truths that words haven't revealed yet. Their eyes seem to carry a mix of empathy, wisdom, and quiet pain, like they've seen and felt more than they'll ever say out loud. Then comes their energy, the calmness that fills the space around them. While others might rush to impress or dominate a conversation, the INFJ moves differently. They are deliberate in their actions and mindful in their presence. There's something grounding about being near them, as if they bring peace to an otherwise noisy environment. They listen with their whole being, giving people the sense that their words actually matter. In a world where most people are waiting for their turn to speak, this kind of genuine attention stands out immediately. As conversation begins, people quickly realize that the INFJ doesn't do surface level well. Even when discussing ordinary topics, they somehow manage to add meaning, emotion, or a layer of thought that makes it feel significant. Their words are often carefully chosen, and their tone tends to be soft yet confident. Many are surprised at how effortlessly an INFJ can shift from light humor to deep philosophical insight without it feeling forced. It's this balance between playfulness and depth that draws people in even further. Another thing that strikes people early on is how empathetic and emotionally intelligent INFJs seem to be. They pick up on subtle emotional cues, tone shifts, facial expressions, or the energy behind someone's words, and respond in ways that make others feel seen and understood. There's a natural warmth in the way they engage, like they genuinely care about how someone feels rather than what someone offers. That authenticity has a disarming effect. People who are usually guarded often find themselves opening up to an INFJ without fully understanding why. Their mysterious aura also doesn't go unnoticed. There's always something about them that feels hidden, like they're showing only a part of themselves. It's not deception, it's protection. INFJs are naturally private and often reveal their true selves slowly, layer by layer. This makes people curious. They sense that there's more beneath the surface: stories, emotions, ideas, and that sense of mystery becomes part of their charm. They seem to belong everywhere and nowhere at once, deeply connected yet somehow apart, and people can't help but want to know what lies behind that serene exterior. People are also drawn to the INFJ's authenticity. They don't chase trends or adopt personas to fit in. Even if they're quiet, their individuality radiates. There's an inner alignment between who they are and how they show up, and that kind of congruence is rare. Others sense that the INFJ's kindness isn't performative, it's rooted in something deeper. Whether through a gentle smile, an encouraging word, or a thoughtful silence, the INFJ's sincerity leaves an impression that lingers long after the first meeting. Their idealism and depth of thought also reveal themselves subtly but unmistakably. The INFJ might mention something about purpose, growth, or meaning even in casual conversation. They have a way of connecting the dots between experiences and lessons, between pain and beauty. It's as if they live in constant reflection. People often notice that the INFJ sees the world not just for what it is, but for what it could be. They speak about dreams with conviction, yet they carry a quiet realism that makes those dreams seem attainable. It's this combination of vision and groundedness that makes people both respect and trust them. There's also something about their physical demeanor that catches attention. INFJs tend to move gracefully and with intention. They aren't loud or flashy, but their subtlety makes them stand out. Their style often reflects their inner world, simple yet meaningful, elegant but never excessive. They seem to have an intuitive sense for balance, and even their posture or expressions communicate thoughtfulness. As the interaction unfolds, people start to sense the INFJ's dual nature, the blend of introversion and warmth, logic and emotion, realism and idealism. They're compassionate but not naive, gentle but not weak, private but not cold. These contradictions make them endlessly fascinating. People leave conversations with INFJs feeling both comforted and curious, as if they've just brushed against something profound but can't fully explain what it was. And then there's the emotional afterglow they leave behind. Long after they've walked away, something about the INFJ's presence lingers. Maybe it's the kindness they showed, the words they chose, or the way they made someone feel understood without judgment. Whatever it is, people remember it. The INFJ may not realize it, but their ability to connect on a soul level makes a lasting impact, even from a single encounter. Meeting an INFJ is rarely forgettable because they touch people in ways that are invisible yet undeniable. It's not about what they say or do. It's about the feeling they leave behind. The sense that for a brief moment, someone truly saw you, not just the version of you the world sees, but the deeper parts that even you sometimes overlook. That's what people notice first when they meet an INFJ. The rare, quiet brilliance of someone who moves through the world with both heart and insight, and whose presence feels like a mirror to the soul. People also tend to notice that INFJs seem slightly out of sync with the world around them, but in the most captivating way. There's something about their rhythm, the way they pause before responding, the faraway look that sometimes crosses their face mid-conversation, that hints at a mind always turning inward, analyzing, feeling, translating. It's as if they exist in two dimensions at once. The outer world that everyone else sees, and an inner world rich with meaning, intuition, and layered thought. This dual awareness makes them seem both fully present and somewhere else entirely, and people often can't help but wonder what's happening behind that composed expression. Their timing in conversation is another subtle thing people notice. INFJs don't rush to fill silence. Instead, they allow it to breathe, creating a calm pocket where truth can emerge. That silence doesn't feel awkward. Rather, it feels intentional, as if they're giving your words the weight they deserve. This makes others slow down too, unconsciously matching the INFJ's reflective pace. It's in these pauses that people often realize they're sharing more honestly than they usually do, as if the INFJ's quiet patience grants them permission to be authentic. Another striking thing is the sense of depth without effort. While others may try hard to impress with intellect or charisma, the INFJ's depth feels natural. They can discuss the weather in a way that leads into human behavior, or turn a casual mention of music into an exploration of emotion and meaning. Their minds seem wired to look for connections between things most people would never link. That kind of intuitive insight catches people off guard. It's both fascinating and humbling to be in the presence of someone who seems to understand patterns that lie just beneath the surface of everyday life. Then there's the way they make people feel emotionally safe. People notice that they don't ridicule, they don't rush to judge, and they don't compete for attention. This emotional safety allows others to be vulnerable in ways they rarely are. That's often why, even after brief interactions, people confess deeply personal things to INFJs. They sense that their secrets won't be used against them. It's not manipulation. It's empathy that feels like sanctuary. Many also notice the way INFJs blend strength with softness. They exude a quiet power that isn't rooted in dominance, but in conviction. When they speak about something they believe in, their whole energy shifts. The softness hardens into steel. Their calm turns resolute. There's no arrogance in it, only certainty. That balance of compassion and moral clarity often leaves people inspired. They feel that the INFJ's calm isn't just passivity. It's the calm of someone who knows who they are and what they stand for, even if they rarely announce it. Their sensitivity to atmosphere is another thing people pick up on. INFJs have a way of subtly adjusting to the mood of a room, as if they can feel it in the air. When tension rises, they naturally become gentler. When the energy dips, they bring quiet humor or encouragement. People notice how they seem attuned to unspoken emotions, often diffusing conflicts before they escalate, or comforting others without being asked. This ability makes them seem almost empathic in a mystical sense, as though they're reading emotional wavelengths others can't detect. At the same time, there's a faint melancholy that sometimes lingers around them, a reflective sadness that doesn't necessarily come from unhappiness but from sensitivity. People notice it in the way an INFJ gazes out a window or falls silent in the middle of laughter. It's the look of someone who feels deeply, who sees both the beauty and the brokenness in the world. That emotional depth gives their presence gravity. They carry the joy and sorrow of others like an artist carries color, blending it into the way they see life. Another thing people often notice is the INFJ's ability to adapt socially while never losing themselves. They can mingle in a crowd and hold meaningful conversations, yet they seem to guard their core for being swept away by it. Their social grace feels effortless but calculated. They know how much of themselves to reveal and when to withdraw. This selective openness makes them all the more intriguing, because even when they're friendly and warm, you can sense there are entire parts of them still tucked safely behind an invisible curtain. People who are more observant might also catch how INFJs respond to injustice or cruelty, even in small moments. A rude comment, an unfair action, or a display of arrogance rarely goes unnoticed by them. Their eyes sharpen, their demeanor changes. They might not say anything immediately, but their disapproval is palpable. Later, when they do speak, it's often with a quiet intensity that cuts deeper than any loud confrontation could. That moral backbone becomes evident early on and leaves people both impressed and cautious, because while the INFJ is kind, they are not easily fooled. There's also the strange sense of timelessness that surrounds them. They seem old-souled, as though carrying wisdom gathered from lifetimes before. Whether it's the way they talk about meaning, their fascination with human nature, or their instinctive empathy for pain, people often feel like they're speaking to someone beyond their years. Even younger INFJs radiate a maturity that doesn't come from experience alone. It feels innate, as if their hearts were born ancient. As conversations deepen, people start to notice the INFJ's storytelling ability. They don't just share information. They weave experiences into imagery and emotion. Their stories often have a reflective quality, pulling listeners into the texture of memory, mood, and meaning. It's not uncommon for people to remember an INFJ's story long after the details fade. What lingers is the feeling it evoked, the way it made them reflect on their own life. Another thing people notice, though they may not be able to name it, is the INFJ's quiet influence. Long after the meeting, their words echo, their empathy reshapes perspectives, their insight plants seeds of thought. They don't demand attention. They earn it through the sincerity of their presence. Even those who barely know them often find themselves replaying their conversations, realizing days later how much meaning was hidden in what the INFJ said. Their quiet confidence is another thing people notice early on. INFJs rarely boast or try to dominate a space, but their calm assurance makes them stand out without effort. It's in the way they carry themselves, poised, gentle, and deliberate. They don't need to prove themselves because their strength lies in self-assured composure. People sense that they have a strong internal compass, a sense of direction that isn't easily swayed by trends or opinions. Even in unfamiliar settings, they appear centered, grounded in their values, and that stability draws admiration. Their way of speaking also leaves an impression. INFJs often speak with a rhythm that's soothing and deliberate, sometimes poetic without intending to be. They articulate thoughts with a blend of intellect and empathy, balancing logic with emotional depth. When they express ideas, there's usually a moral or spiritual undertone that hints at the layers of meaning beneath their words. It's not uncommon for people to leave a conversation with an INFJ feeling oddly uplifted or reflective, as if they've just heard something that gently shifted their perspective on life. People also notice how observant INFJs are about the world around them. They see details most overlook, the nervous twitch in someone's fingers, the way two people exchange glances, or how the air in a room changes when tension rises. It's like their senses are tuned to emotional frequencies rather than surface appearances. This awareness allows them to navigate social situations gracefully, anticipating others' needs or moods without being told. That kind of perception makes people feel deeply cared for, but it also gives the INFJ an air of quiet mystery, as though they're always watching and understanding more than they reveal. Another thing that stands out is their subtle sense of humor. INFJs are often misunderstood as being too serious, but those who spend even a little time with them quickly discover a dry, witty, and sometimes unexpected humor. It's intelligent and often laced with irony or gentle observation about life's absurdities. Their humor doesn't shout. It sneaks up softly, making people laugh because of how true it feels. That ability to mix depth with lightness makes their presence refreshing. People often find themselves smiling without realizing it, warmed by the INFJ's understated charm. People also notice that INFJs often exude a comforting silence. It's not awkward or distant. It feels like peace. When others are around them, they sense a rare stillness, as if the noise of the world quiets down for a while. That serene energy makes people breathe a little deeper, slow down, and reflect. Many who meet INFJs feel calmer after talking to them, as though their presence alone has healing properties. They listen in a way that isn't performative. It's genuine, attentive, and filled with empathy. This serenity makes others subconsciously trust them. People may also pick up on a quiet loneliness in INFJs. Not the kind born of isolation, but the kind that comes from being different. Even in a room full of people, there's an invisible distance between them and the world. They might smile, laugh, and engage beautifully, but behind their eyes there's a softness that hints at how much they carry, their own emotions and everyone else's. This bittersweet quality makes them seem even more human, even more real, and others instinctively want to understand or protect them, not realizing that the INFJ's strength lies precisely in that vulnerability. Those who meet an INFJ often walk away feeling changed, not in a dramatic sense, but in a quiet, meaningful way. They start to notice things they hadn't before. They become more aware of their emotions, more thoughtful in their conversations, more reflective about life. The INFJ doesn't set out to change people. Their very presence simply encourages it. It's like standing before a mirror that reflects not just your image but your essence, reminding you of who you could be if you slowed down and truly listened to yourself and to others.